In this very short video, we're going to explain the things we can do for your customers that will help you meet your targets as a banker. And we'd like to do that by briefly showing you some of the elements of our methodology so you can see and judge for yourself how helpful and valuable it will be to both you and your customers. One of the first things we usually do for a business is to benchmark them against others in their industry and produce a simple one-page summary that shows how they compare, identifies their strengths and weaknesses, and estimates how much higher their profits and cash flow would be if they're able to emulate their more successful competitors. We then drill down another layer by using sensitivity software to show them their general options for improving their profits, such as pricing more profitably and converting more sales leads into actual sales. And we show them the impact of all the improvements. Of course, we don't stop there. We also look at their tax position. And whenever a client has a large tax bill of any type, we can usually help to substantially reduce it, and in many cases we really are talking about very substantial reductions in the amount of tax they end up paying. For example, if they're a sole trader or partnership, we'll use our incorporation tax planning software live in front of them every year to show them exactly how much tax they could save by transferring the business into a limited company, often referred to as incorporation. And typically, we'll identify savings of in excess of £50,000 in the first few years of incorporation alone. In this case, it's over £8,000 a year and a further £93,000 if they capitalise goodwill. And if they're already a company, we'll use our remuneration tax planner software live in front of them every year to do thousands of calculations to make sure they pay the smallest amount of tax legally possible when they get their profits out. In addition, where you have clients that are expanding by launching a major new product, service or division, we can often show them how to structure that expansion so their expansion profits are effectively free of tax for 5 or more years. And we can often also help them to pay very substantially less income tax, regardless of whether their income comes from profits, salaries, dividends, investment income, or indeed any other source. The end result of all this input is that your customers have stronger and more successful businesses with lower tax bills, and that in turn means that they won't default on your loans, and they'll also need more of your services as they grow. So that should help you to meet your targets in those areas, shouldn't it? But those aren't the only targets we can help them with. For example, when you're involved in financing property, we can often substantially increase the tax allowances for commercial property, making everyone involved in the transaction happy because it's more affordable to the buyer with no loss to the seller, and therefore more likely to get approval from your underwriters. And that should help you meet your lending targets more easily. And when you're involved in financing other transactions, such as buying and selling businesses, we can often substantially reduce the capital gains tax payable, which once again can help make the transactions happen so that you meet your targets in this area more easily too. You'll also be pleased to know that we don't limit ourselves to your customers' businesses. We also create a personal balance sheet for them and their families. And we use it to help them prevent inheritance tax and care fees from taking the money they receive on the death of their parents and other family members, and also to prevent those taxes taking the money your customers will eventually leave to their loved ones on their own death. And yes, it is actually often possible to substantially reduce inheritance tax and care fee bills with the right sort of planning. And we also use the personal balance sheet to help them understand the need to safeguard and protect their assets and ensure that they yield and grow at the right rate in order to fund their retirement and other future plans. And that process, of course, will help generate interest in insurance, pensions and other financial services, which should help you to meet your targets in those areas too. Through it, your customers become more financially successful and secure. Of course, not everything we do or have mentioned in this video is right for every customer, and this is categorically not a one-size-fits-all approach. So we always start the process by using diagnostic review software to produce a report identifying what has the potential to add the most extra money to their business and personal bank accounts. As a first step towards us making a start in using all of this to help you meet your targets, we'd be delighted to explain further any of the other things mentioned in this video. And we'd be delighted to do all of the following for your customers at no charge to them or to you. We'll gladly carry out a diagnostic review of their affairs to identify what they can specifically do to add the most extra cash to their business and personal bank accounts, and present our findings in a detailed, plain English report. As part of that diagnostic review, we'll also benchmark them against others in their industry. And when we present our findings, we'll use one or more of our software tools live in front of them to do up to 1 million calculations to estimate how much extra tax they can save by making a few simple changes. And as we said, we'll gladly do all of that for them for free so that you and they can begin to benefit straight away. How does all this compare to what other accountants do for you and your clients? And if you like what you see, when can we make a start?